Vice President Vance has said there are no plans to send in troops. Do you now have any indication that this is changing? Let's be clear. The President of the United States has essentially declared war on one of his own cities. That is not normal and it is not acceptable. No. We have no signs that troops are preparing to deploy into Chicago. In fact, I was at Great Lakes Naval Training Base just yesterday, and they confirmed that the only support requested so far is office space for ICE. No barracks, no detention facilities, nothing related to preparing troops for Chicago. Welcome to the Ken Harbaugh Show. My guest today hardly needs an introduction. I'll start by reading one of Senator Tammy Duckworth's latest posts in response to President Trump's outrageous threat to wage war on Chicago. Trump wrote, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago is about to find out why it's called the Department of War." Senator Duckworth fired back, "Take off that cavalry hat, you draft dodger. You didn't earn the right to wear it." Stolen valor at its worst, Senator. Talk to us about Chicago pushing back and the lesson we all learned on every playground, that bullies can't take a punch. The President of the United States has declared war on one of his own cities. That's unprecedented and disgusting. If he truly wanted to help Chicago, he wouldn't have cut $800 million in federal law enforcement support. But we in Chicago are tough. We know how to fight back and we'll stand up to this president every step of the way. What does it mean that he's activating red state guard units and sending them into blue cities? By law, Trump cannot activate a state's National Guard without the governor's consent. That's why he's leaning on Republican governors to send their troops elsewhere. The irony? Many of those red states have higher crime rates than Illinois. If Governor Abbott in Texas wants to fight crime, maybe he should focus on his own cities instead of ours. Some might call this paranoia, but it looks like Trump is deliberately provoking conflict step by step, inching toward invoking the Insurrection Act. Am I overreacting? Not at all, you're spot on. This is classic Trump. Whenever he faces a bad news cycle, he creates a distraction. If the Epstein files or unemployment numbers dominate headlines, he suddenly threatens to send troops into Chicago. And beyond distraction, he's trying to normalize the sight of soldiers on American streets, laying the groundwork to undermine the next election. I still trust our military and guardsmen to uphold their oaths. What worries me more is ICE. Trump has built it into a paramilitary force with a budget bigger than the Marine Corps, but without the traditions, safeguards, or ethical codes of the military. That makes it dangerous. Do you think this sets us up for something even darker in 2026? Absolutely. ICE is aggressively recruiting, luring young men with six-figure salaries and a culture of chest-thumping bravado. Unlike soldiers, they don't receive professional training in ethics, conduct, or the laws of war. These agents are thrown onto the streets without the professional discipline that defines our armed forces. That's deeply concerning, and we cannot allow them free rein. There's a reason ICE agents cover their faces while guardsmen don't. Shame. Deep down, some of them must know history's verdict will be damning, but the money is too tempting. The real danger is Americans confusing ICE with our military. If that line blurs, we've crossed a dangerous threshold. What can we do to keep that distinction clear? I've introduced legislation requiring ICE agents to clearly identify themselves, preventing them from wearing military-style uniforms that mislead the public. On the flip side, local leaders are already acting. In North Chicago, for example, the mayor reinstated distinctive police uniforms so residents know the difference between local officers and ICE in camouflage. That's exactly the kind of clarity we need nationwide. When I visited Great Lakes Base, ICE had requested use of barracks and munition storage. The base denied both. They gave them only office space and allowed non-lethal gear. And when I asked to tour ICE's facility, they literally locked the doors and sent everyone home. If you're proud of your work, you don't run and hide. That kind of cowardice spreads. Courage is contagious, yes, but so is cowardice. And when ICE hides from accountability, it reveals the rot inside. Do you think shame can still work as a tool against them? I believe so. Many honorable people have worked at ICE in the past. The question is how many of those with real moral fiber have already quit. That leaves an agency increasingly dominated by those without ethics, eager to follow Trump's lead. My message to the good ones who remain: speak up. Resist from within. Don't let this agency sink further into lawlessness. Unfortunately, this erosion of conscience isn't limited to ICE. Look at what Trump allies like Pete Hegseth have done in the military, purging JAG officers. the very people who serve as a moral compass. Our institutions are being deliberately hollowed out, but many in uniform are still fighting to preserve the integrity of the military. We must support them and resist this attack on our democracy. Before we wrap up, one more question. Trump is rebranding the Department of Defense as the Department of War. Easy to laugh off, but even clowns can be dangerous. Is this a signal that war is coming? Trump dodged service 5 times. He was too much of a coward to fight when it was his turn, and now he wraps himself in the valor of others. But the real issue here is cost. Renaming the department will drain $2 billion from taxpayers. That's what people need to understand. The so-called fiscal responsibility president is wasting billions while flying. Deportees on military jets that cost millions when a charter flight would cost just $30,000 is not a president of peace, nor one of fiscal responsibility. He is driving us toward conflict and draining our resources in the process. Senator Duckworth, thank you for your courage and leadership.